Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation. On August 8th, a series of deadly wildfires broke out on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires caused widespread damage, killing at least 115 people and leaving 388 others missing in the town of Lahaina. The fires were concurrent with the arrival of Hurricane Dora, which brought high winds that fanned the flames. Ronald Sombrano and his family were forced to evacuate their home as the fire approached. They watched in horror as their home and entire town burned to the ground. It was a long and sleepless night for Ronald, who shares his story of surviving the fire. The wildfires on Maui were a tragedy that caused immense loss and devastation. The people of Maui are still recovering from the disaster, and the full impact of the fires is still being felt. Tragedy can bring out the best and the worst in humanity. On one hand, there are people trying to take advantage of victims, such as those who are making unsolicited purchase offers, or companies charging for unreturned modems. On the other hand, despite their own losses, the survivors are showing incredible resilience and compassion by helping their neighbors. Despite all the horror, Ronald remains positive and grateful to be alive. He shares an inspiring story of community and hope amidst tragedy. I encourage everyone to donate to one of the community funds to help the victims of the wildfires in Lahaina. Most of the victims have lost everything they own and will need help to rebuild their lives. Your donation can make a difference. Please check out the links in my blog post to Hawaii Community Foundation, Maui United Way, Maui Food Bank, or Maui Nui Strong. Thank you for your support. As a warning, this episode contains graphic detail of the events of the fire. My favor, as usual, is to please continue to share this podcast with others. It would mean so much if you would also rate it and leave me feedback. If you would like to help keep this podcast going and support the work I do, you can visit my website or patreon.com/SifuMimiChan. For comments or suggestions, reach out on social media at SifuMimiChan. Now, on with the show.
Hi, Sifu. Mimi.
Hello.
Hi.
You can just call
Master.
me Mimi. Thank you. Oh,
Mimi, okay. Master teacher, Mimi.
Oh my gosh.
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for reaching out and taking time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. And especially with everything. So let's jump in because I'm going to probably just kind of get a little background about you and where you're from and just a little bit about you and your community, just really casual conversation. And then,
Okay.
we'll kind of get into questions about, the fire and everything. So.
Okay, cool. So my family, actually, my mom and dad came from the Philippines back a long time ago to get a better life, because in the Philippines, they were like impoverished, so they came to work in the sugar plantation, or the pineapple plantations. My dad was what they call a sakata, which is, the Filipinos that came in to work the fields,
Ah, okay.
So he was like a hard worker, typical, immigrant, they worked hard in the fields. Just real quickly, my mom and dad had 7 kids,
Okay.
4 boys. Well, 5. I was the youngest. So there's like 4. The 4 boys were like the oldest, and I have 2 sisters. And this is the wide range of our age difference. My sister Esther is like about 10 years older than me. And my sister Joyce, who actually, her house is above Lahaina, where I'm at right now. I'm using her Wi-Fi. So her house that I'm in right now, God bless, it didn't burn. She's like 9 years older than me. So I'm like the last. I'm the 7th, right?
Wow. Okay.
So my family grew up here in Lahaina. Everyone grew up here in Lahaina, went to school here, and pretty much put our roots here, except maybe my older brother Ed, the oldest one, who moved to California when he was in the army, and he married, an Irish girl, and in Los Angeles, and he was there for like forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our family is all rooted here. My nieces and nephews and their families all are here, and that's it.
Yeah.
From here, my background, I went to the Camp Church School which is the elementary school. There's one of a kind. It was right on the water's edge, right by the harbor. So if you ever watch the YouTube videos of the destruction, when you see the boats like just exploding, boom, and just fire raising its havoc, our school was right there. So imagine from kindergarten to the 8th grade, we had it. Like, it was like paradise going to school because we could see the surf.
Yeah.
The banyan tree that burned, that big old banyan tree that took a square block, a whole block.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that iconic tree. Hopefully they'll salvage that. The arborists say that it's still good to go. There's sap in the tree. But just long story short, our school was right next to that. And so our school is like right in the heart of Lahaina, kind of. Mm. And, that's the school we all went to. And when we went to high school, it's up at the hill. Actually, where I'm at, I can see the high school that's standing there, Lahaina Luna, which was like the oldest school west of the Rockies. It was, the missionaries and all that set it up. So, that's Lahaina. That's somewhat of my background here.
Yeah. No, I
and all my friends too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love getting an education in different places that I so very much want to go. So thank you for sharing with that. Yeah. And I know Lahaina is a pretty close-knit community. Everybody kind of knows each other, right? Like you're saying you're one of 7, but it probably even feels like you're one of however many the population is, because it feels like you all grew up together, know one another, the different stores that are open. It's a very close-knit community. Is that correct?
Very much so, Mimi. Very much so. Just give you an example, I'm older than all these other guys now, but the same kind of culture where if you needed anything, you go see, Mrs. Yamada, we need rice, no problem. Do you need a ride? I'll take you kids to the movies. It's like everybody knew everybody. And it was, I grew up, believe it or not, when I grew up, I had friends of all races pretty much. We had just the whole chop suey, the whole melting pot. So I won't get into races or whatever, because nowadays you got to watch what you say. But I grew up with so many different people from all over the world. And I stayed here, all my life and working in the resorts. So everybody's in the same boat. So when they talk about aloha, giving, receiving, and helping each other, that's what it is from growing up until now. Like even now, like I was walking down the street one day, away from the tragedy, and I see my fellow displaced Lahaina folks. And they, hey, Ron, you want a water? You want something? So it's really, like you said, it is tight-knit. It's a big family. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I am very envious about hearing about your school that you grew up in, because it does sound like you literally were on your slice of paradise. And it must have been a little bit difficult growing up in school, though, not wanting to go out to the beach, being able to see it every day and having to focus on your classroom studies, right?
Oh, man, we cut school a lot.
I would too. Were you a surfer as well? Were you really into the water activities? And
yeah, well, boogie board. Bodyboarding, body surfing,
nice,
shallow dives.
Yeah,
shallow
wow.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Just being outside.
Yeah, just with nature, right? Yeah. And, like I said, a kind of pre-roll, I wanted to thank you again for just taking some time to talk to me today. I know this is a really difficult time for you, for your community, for your loved ones. And, from, kind of over here in Florida, we seem really far away and removed, just trying to watch and find out what's going on. And it's just been so devastating to see on the outside. So I can't even imagine what it's like for you there on the ground. So I wanted to say thank you again for taking time to speak with me today.
Yeah, no problem, Mimi. I'm happy to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I mentioned off air, I would love to kind of understand a little bit more. We were talking that, we'll kind of get into the timeline in a second, but you were telling me that this is, very far east, correct, of where the location is of Lahaina, and that right now, of course, that's very shut down and things are deemed unsafe. But you were saying even for tourism and having visitors is really important for the economy, and so you were kind of saying that we should be welcoming people to still explore certain parts of Maui. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with with wisdom and the right thought process in coming. Because if you look at the map, I think we're backwards, but the west side is basically Lahaina. We got one zip code for the west side. It's 96761.
Okay.
So actually the west side is kind of broken up into like small, actually villages. That's how it started. So when you come off the Pali, which is the cliffs, from that point on, it's like about maybe 14 miles all the way to like Kapalua, like if you look at the map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the west side is pretty much kind of like there's nothing for tourists to do, really. Because Lahaina is the gem. The Lahaina is like the magnet that drew people to come to Maui basically in the first place, as far as tourism. Because we had like major golf courses and it's commercialized. But Lahaina from, back in the day, 50s, 60s, whatever, up till now, was the commercial hub. All the famous restaurants.
Yeah.
Before the Food Network, we had our version of celebrity chefs. Right. And that drew in the pre-foodies, if you will.
Yeah.
Without internet, it was word of mouth. Lahaina's the place to be, right? So Lahaina's shut down right now, Mimi. It's shut down.
Yeah.
But the rest of the island, Maui's got one mountain, West Maui, and you got the other one, Haleakala, and the Kahului, which is in the middle. Okay. Pretty much everything else is open for business. So, it's a mixed feelings about tourism, because it got overpopulated and all that. But the fact is, I say this with heart, I understand people's feelings right now. I'm one of them. So I don't want to see this place get overrun with people. However, I got friends and family that live on the other side and they tell me, hey, Ron, man, we got no work right now. I got a friend that does like maintenance work and his boss said, hey, I can't give you any hours because no one's coming in, So I just want to say, Mimi, thanks for having me on. For the people who want to come to Maui, check it out. You can't go to Lahaina, of course, obviously. But there's other places you can visit that's awesome. Wailea, you can kick back on the beach, Kihei. And the eateries there could use the business, there's a lot of restaurants down there that's pretty cool.
Right. And I mean, I think that's something that we all want to be really mindful of because, of course, after the tragedy, we saw that there was immediately, unfortunately, in these times, we are able to see the best of humanity and the worst of humanity. And I think the best of humanity are, seeing how your community has come together, things I saw on your social media about just people feeding one another and taking each other in and everything. And of course, that's the best side of it. But then we also saw the negative side where people have, tourists complaining that their tours were canceled and just being kind of nasty about the fact that there was this tragedy where people have died, lost their homes, so many things. And then so tourism just kind of has a negative connotation to it. And you just get a little bit kind of off put about it. Right. And so you just don't want to be that tourist. Right. But like you saying, it's basically you just want to be mindful, respectful, and still be able to have a way to support the other local businesses and everything. And so, can you kind of maybe tell me a little bit about where you had your home and kind of the series of events? Because you were so kind to share with me a bunch of videos with time codes.
Oh, you got it?
Of what was happening. Yes. And I was mortified, and honestly, and if with your permission, I'll kind of add all of this into our video, but
no, that's why I sent it to you because it kind of paints a better picture,
Yeah, it paints quite a picture, but yeah, I'd love to hear in your words if you don't mind sharing.
So the 8th, the 8th of August, when this whole tragedy unfolded, I live with my niece and her husband and another family, a really close family. So there's like 9 of us in one house, but the house is pretty good size. And it's in a place, the old name for it, and people forget and it changes, but the real name of the place where I stayed or lived, there's a subdivision, several hundred homes. It was called Wahikuli Terrace. Wahikuli Terrace, okay? Now, if you were to watch those drone videos on YouTube, and I don't know if they'll point it out, but if you can Google Earth or whatever, just Google like the Lahaina Cannery Mall. The Lahaina Cannery Mall, it was a pineapple cannery. They turned it into a mall back in the 80s. There's a street that goes right across there, and there's a gas station. You go up a little bit to the left of that, that's where I live. And many of my friends live. So that's where our house burned down and the whole neighborhood was, engulfed in flames, and it's not there no more. So on the 8th, to answer your question, the power was kind of like out. It was kind of weird. My cell phone wasn't working after like about maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. And we knew there was going to have high winds, but it was, generated from a hurricane, the Hurricane Dora. And so the hurricane was like 500-600 miles south of us, but a hurricane still produces pretty strong winds when it's that far south or whatever. So I woke up like about 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, a couple of times, and the house was shaking. The weather guy said, we expect high winds, but this ain't high winds. This is like hurricane winds. Because the house I was in is an old kind of like plantation style design. It's all wood. And it was like shaking, because it was like a giant shaking the house. I'm like, oh my God. I look out the window, I moved the curtain a little bit, and I could see like our roof. It was like it was ready to pop off. I'm like, oh my God. All I'm thinking about, no fire at this time. Oh my God. This hurricane's turning and we're going to get wiped out by strong winds. Not thinking about fire. Okay. So I go back to sleep and my friend started texting me, beep, beep, beep. And the phone's working, of course. He's texting me. So I look and he goes, hey, Ron, there's a little brush fire up in Lahaina Luna. Lahaina Luna is where I'm at right now. In fact, I can see where the original fire started. I look out my window right here. That's where it started, like right there. Wow. But he goes, they put it out. So we're good to go. I'm like, oh, thank God. Because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, man, we got some strong winds and it's shifting. Okay. Yeah. If there's a fire and they didn't put it out, in the back of my mind, I go, man, Lahaina's going to be wiped out. Now this is like, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, thank God they put it out. We're going to get wiped out if not, because we suffered some really near misses in fires, In fact, like in November of 2022, there is a mountain above the high school. If you Google it, there's an L engraved on the mountain that signifies Lahaina Luna High School. There's a big L. And the alumni goes up every graduation and then they light it up. Well, Back to the story. Okay, so that day, I'm thinking, okay, they put the fire out, but the wind is just howling. All right. I go back to sleep because my family said, hey, Uncle Ron, you might as well just stay home because there's all kind of debris like flying all over the place, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just stay home. And then all of a sudden, fast forward like about maybe 11 o'clock, I look out the window, there's a thin line of like smoke, like really light. And I hear sirens going off. So I figure out, that they got another one, but the fire department's always good at putting out fires here in Lahaina.
Yeah.
And then as the day goes on, maybe now we're talking 1 o'clock. So one of our family members goes, hey, Uncle Ron, my niece Tamara bought a new car because they do the rental thing, that Turo thing. And the new car that she bought got totaled because of the roofing fell off and it smashed her car. Boom, boom. I go, no kidding. So in my mind, I'm not thinking about the fire. I'm thinking, man, my niece's car, brand new, got ruined. Yeah. That's messed up. So I'm thinking materialistic at this time. Oh no, her car's messed up. And then, so yeah, well, no problem, insurance, whatever. Come about 2 o'clock, I think 2 o'clock. The videos I sent you was like later in the day.
Yeah.
But at 2 o'clock, imagine the videos I sent you, it's like quarter of that size, but ominous nonetheless. And I'm like, oh man, and the wind is like swirling. I don't care what anybody said. I swear those winds were like 100 miles an hour, maybe top. I mean, you can ask my friends that live in the hood. It wasn't like 80, man. It was like 100. That's hurricane force. It was like shaking the house. Stuff was flying over the place. So fast forward again, maybe an hour or two, that smoke started to get really thick, really thick. So my nephew comes home from work. That's my niece's husband. He goes, Uncle Ron, man, maybe you want to help me like shore up all the loose items. Okay. Yeah. And this is how weird it was, Mimi, because we see the smoke, but we didn't hear anybody goes, hey, man, Lahaina's on fire. I think you guys got to split the scene over here.
Right.
Nobody. Everybody's kind of like nonchalant or whatever. Kind of like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, what's up? What are you guys doing? We're tying down the fence and all this loose stuff. All right. And the smoke's getting bigger. So now me and my nephew, Kavehi, it took us like an hour more. So like maybe almost 4 o'clock. We're tying stuff down. And I'm not paying attention. He goes, hey, did you hear that? I go, hear what? He goes, I swear I heard something explode. So we stop and we hear these little pops. Poof, boom, poof. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, well, something must be burning down there. And it's burning, but we're not thinking. We're not thinking like Lahaina's on fire at this time. It's just we hear stuff exploding. And then the booms got louder, like Mimi. Like we're like about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile from where the destruction was happening at that time. Those booms hit me in the chest.
Wow.
It's like boom, and oh man, this is major. From pops to booms, like, and then at one time, like 4 in a row in succession, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, whoa. So then my niece goes, hey, I think we got to get out of here. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know about that, because I'm not thinking. Nobody said, hey, split the scene. And this smoke is getting bigger. And this time I think that's the video I sent you. And I go, yeah, okay, maybe we got to split. So I go on the road and we're loading up the stuff, 2 families loading up like 3 cars. I got my stuff and we got kids. So they take some time. Thank God, we had a lot of time. My friend Tom and Maynard across the street, my neighbors, my friend Kirk next door, they go, hey, what are you guys doing? I go, we're leaving. He's really? I go, dude, Tom, look at that smoke. And then I look down south in between 2 houses, like about 300 yards away. I look down that alley and I see flames, Mimi, like going like that. Wow. And this is like for 3/4 of a mile away. So I'm thinking if I was down there, that flame was like maybe 100 feet in the air, maybe, I don't know. I'm just guesstimating.
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking nothing except I'm like, Tom, man, look at that. And his girlfriend looks out. He's, oh man, there's fire down there. I go, yeah, And my friend Jason comes up with his Cushman like golf cart. He goes, hey, Ron, I think you guys really got to split because in Hawaii we have different winds. We got the prevailing trades. This kind of comes in the northeasterly kind of. Yeah, that makes sense. And we got Kona, meaning south. So if the winds shifted from Kona, we would be torched real fast, like a 80-mile-an-hour wind coming our way. And the flames, from what I understand, after all this happened, I was watching YouTube, the flames are going like, horizontal almost. Yeah. So he said, let's pack it up. And that was like, we gotta leave. So we finally left. I think the timestamps on the text I gave you. Yeah. Yeah. So because of my family, I'm not saying we were the heroes at all, but because people saw us leaving with our stuff, Tom was the next guy and Maynard was the next guy, and then Kirk and everybody else started to pack up and leave. And this is where now I'm listening to newscasts where there's a lot of people that had the same experience I had. Like we had no warning, And I'm not trying to make the blame game here, but we had no warning. Well, number one, our phones wasn't working. Yeah. And so we went to my brother's house in a subdivision called Hawaiian Homes. It's a special subdivision about 3 blocks from where I live. So we fought traffic going to my brother and my sister-in-law's house. At that point, it was safe. And I think it was almost 6 o'clock at this time. Yeah. But on the way over to his house, there's a lot of people that work in Kaanapali, which is north of us. And, that's where everybody works, in the hotels. I saw friends of mine walking. And I go, hey, man, what are you doing? He says, the road's blocked. I had to ditch my car. And my friend Robert takes care of his 90-year-old mother-in-law and his wife. So his father-in-law and mother-in-law, they're elderly. And his wife is, she got ill, so she needs help. So he's the primary helper, caregiver, and he has to work full time. So he's stressing out. So he's walking right by my brother's house. He cuts the corner, and I see a bunch of people walking. It was like biblical, like Exodus, like they're running away from Egypt or something. Yeah. And he goes, man, hey, Ron, is my house still around? Because he knows it's burning. I go, yeah, hey, Robert, it's okay. As far as I know, it's good. And he just, nose to the grinder. His focus is just laser. He's just walking. And another friend of mine, Macario Pascual, who's like a well-known artist here, he sees me and he goes, hey, is my mom all right? He's in a different subdivision where I assume was burning when we were leaving, because it's in that direction. And the first thing came to my mind was I didn't want to tell him anything bad. Like, hey, I think your neighborhood's on fire. I don't know what I told him. I didn't want to make him, trip out. Yeah. So he's all worried. He's going, and I just see people running on the street, heading towards the fire to see if their loved ones was okay. So I finally get to my brother's house, like 2 cars. He welcomes us. My nephew brought a generator. We hook it up, and then and we hear booms. And I think the last video I sent you was at his house, and the smoke was going over the ocean already. Mm-hmm. So what happened was I usually go for walks in the evening. So, at times like this, you don't want to be separated from family. Okay, so now, we don't have cell phone service, but we're already hunkered down at my brother's house. So I decided to just take a walk going back towards our neighborhood. Just I'm curious. Yeah. I don't know. That was stupid because I should have told my family, because what happened eventually. Oh, well, long story short, I just wanted to see what was happening. By the time I went like a block from our neighborhood, I seen the fires ready to ignite everything. The cops said, then finally the cops came around and said, hey, you got to beat it. Go to the Civic Center, which is just a stone throws away from my brother's house. That's where Biden made his speech. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I got a bad foot sometimes. It acts up. So I'm trying to make it to my brother's house, but I'm walking slow. And as I'm walking, I see a mass amount of people from the subdivision that was being evacuated, kids with teddy bears, moms carrying babies, the husbands carrying like luggage. I'm like, oh my God, this is nuts. Is this real? And you hear people crying, you hear people cussing, just a whole bunch of mixed emotions, And I'm thinking, it's getting dark at this time. I look back, Mimi, and it's like a horror flick. It's bright orange now because it's getting dark. I'm going, oh man, this is nuts. And again, the booms continue. Boom, pop, boom. I was thinking, man, this is nuts. This is insane. Then I get to my brother's house again. Everyone's gone from his house. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, because they got evacuated. I wasn't thinking. So I'm going, okay, now what do I do, right? I live in Lahaina all my life, so I know what not to do and what to do. So I said, okay, that's all right. Then I finally found a note. They're at the Civic Center, but I'm thinking, I can't find them. It's like mass confusion. Good luck finding them. So I said, well, I just hope that they think I'm all right because I can survive. But they're worried about me for like the whole night.
Yeah.
So I stay at his house. It's dark. And I think I sent you maybe one last dark picture. Yes. That's what I was looking at. And at that time, Mimi, I think it was maybe 9 o'clock maybe. Yeah. And from that distance, I could hear the fire crackling. And everybody in the hood is gone. It's just me. I'm just sitting there watching, right? And I'm just watching this fire burn our neighborhood from a distance. And you can hear the pops of the wood and more booms. Boom, boom, crack, 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 crackling, crackling, crackling. And then the smoke, you could smell it from that far away. And I'm thinking, what's going on, man? I can't wrap my head around what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So then I think somebody came around with a flashlight and says, hey, Ron, you got to leave. I says, yeah, okay. So I leave, walking up to the Civic Center at the evacuation center. It's almost 10 o'clock now. And the winds are blowing like 80. I swear, like 100. I couldn't even walk. It was like blowing me sideways. So I stop and I see some friends and I see my friend Oscar. Yeah, Oscar, what's up? And he was dazed and confused. I mean, he just looked at me like right there with a dead look. And he just walked away. I'm like, holy crap. So I'm walking, I'm talking to people. They're not listening to me because everyone's in shock. I talked to like a first responder dude, like one of those EMT guys. I said, hey man, is this where people's taking shelter? And he just looks at me and continued to do his triage thing with the people there. And no one was talking to me because everyone's in shock. I'm like, holy crap. So I walk up to the where Biden was at speaking. He was upstairs at the basketball court. The shelter is downside. So I walk in there and there's nobody there except like two ladies. In Hawaii, we call the elderly ladies aunties, right?
Auntie, yeah.
It's like, hey, auntie, man, is this where I'm supposed to shelter up? She goes, no, you got to catch that bus and they're going to take you out to Napili. I'm thinking, I ain't going to Napili. I don't want to get out there. I want to stay close. You know, I don't want to get burned, but I want to stay around here. I know I'll be safe. So I ditched the bus and they didn't have water at that time. I go, can I get like a water? She goes, there's nothing. Oh man, I'm thirsty. And it's like, anyway, so there's a little post office right about the block that where you enter to get to the Civic Center. There's a post office there. So there are cops telling people walking, you got to turn around and catch the bus. You can't do this. So I don't want to catch the bus. I want to stay here. So I hid behind this tree by the tennis courts for like an hour, like hiding from the cops. So I wanted to get to the post office because it's all cement, right? And I see some people kind of lingering over this. Okay, those guys are safe. So there's an old train track that used to have like a little tourist train before. So it's all dark. And I know there's a train track right there. And like I said, I got a bad foot. So I finally decided to like ditch the cops. They're right there, but it's dark. They can't see me. So I walk across. Hopefully I don't fall down and crack my head on the rocks. So I get there at the post office and I see my friend Lay. My friend Lay just got off of work. She works in the restaurants and she's, hey, cruise with me, right? So her and another guy that works with her, they're like cooks. And the one kid who was with Lay, he goes, hey, Uncle Ron, I don't know if my grandma's alive, man. I saw my house burning and the cops said, don't go in. And I told the cops, oh, I got to check on my grandma. And he said, the cops said, no, we checked it. There's nobody there. And he kind of said to himself, no, man, I think
it's okay.
He goes, I think she's in the house, but they told me to leave. So a few days later, I found out the kid's grandma did die in the fire. But anyway, back to that night, Lei Momi, who was with us, she lives at the Hawaiian Homes where my brother lives. It's right there. You can see it. And she goes, I'm going to go back to our house. And at that time, we're thinking nothing because Lei Momi she's like a tomboy. She's tough. She surfs big waves. She can handle herself. She can kick somebody's rear end, right? She's tough. So she's going to go back to her house. And she goes, I'll be right back. So me and the kids like, yeah, Lei Momi, she can handle herself. So she went back. And me and this kid were so tired. And this was like midnight, I think, already. So we fell asleep on the sidewalk, you know, and we made pillows out of like old mail that was hanging around, like those ad campaign things. It's all bundled up. So we used that for like pillows. And we fell asleep. And I don't know how long we were asleep. Then the fire captain came around with a big flashlight. And he shines it on us. He goes, hey, you two guys can't stay here. You guys got to evacuate. And he goes, we don't have any car and we're waiting for a friend. He goes, no, you guys got to get in the truck and go now. We're going to take you to the beach park, which is like about half a mile away. It was okay, but, you know, our friend didn't come back. So the kid was with me. He goes, no, I think she'll be fine because she parked her truck across the street at the beach park. I goes, oh, okay, she's got it, right? We think she's a tough girl. She's got it. So they take us to this place called Canoe Beach. Is right next to the Hyatt Regency. So we're there with like 100 people and we're just watching our town burn down, just burning from a distance. And already I'm thinking, we don't have a town. It's dark, but I've been there all my life. But we don't have nothing. The flame is just along the Front Street coastline. Okay. So then the fire guys goes, well, if you're to evacuate, you got to catch a ride and go out north to like Napili, the Kapalua area. They had like a shelter set up. Mm-hmm. So me and the kid, I'm still with this kid that was with Lei Momi. And then, sure enough, the cops came around, like 3, 4 of them with the spotlights, with the megaphones. Hey, you guys gotta go out north. You can't stay here because the fire's coming. And this is like early in the morning, really. Like, I don't know, 1 o'clock maybe, something like that. So Mimi, what happened was we had a friend who was hanging there that saw us, and he goes, "Hey, Ron, come with me. I'll take you guys out north." So we hopped in the car, and everyone's tired. We're like just burned out.
Yeah.
And so he decided to just park in the parking lot in the Hanakawai shopping center. That's where like the Times supermarket's at. By the way, that's the only supermarket we have on the west side right now, Times. So we go in the parking lot, and it's just mass cars and people with flashlights in the parking lot. We couldn't even find a stall at this point. So he finally went into like the handicap stall, and he parked there, and he says, "Man, I'm going to go to sleep." So yeah, let's just fall asleep. So we get up the next morning. It's, 7 o'clock or so, Mimi. It's bright. I wake up, and there's a long line of people trying to get into Times supermarket to get something.
Yeah.
But I walk out, I see my friend, like, "Hey, dude." And he was like the first in line. He goes, "Yeah, man, you guys all right?" I go, "Yeah, we're good, man." He goes, "Just got to buy some food. I'm hungry." I go, "At this time, I'm not thinking about food. I'm just thinking about what happened to people, what happened to my family." So already at this point, people were getting rogue, right? They were like cussing and saying, "Let's break the door down. Just break it down, man. We're hungry. The kids need diapers and all that." And I'm thinking, oh my God, man, this is going to turn really ugly real fast. But thank God people was level-headed that didn't arise. So I turn around and I see a few people that I know. My friend Milton, he's a little older. He comes and he goes, "Hey, man, do you know?" Because in fact, when I went to walk back that night to look at our neighborhood, kind of like ready to burn down, Milton's house is right at that corner. That's where the cop told me to split. He goes, "Hey, how's my house?" I go, "You know what, Milton, I think it's okay. I think it's all right, but I'm not sure." And he told me his story. He goes, he had to evacuate, but for some reason he went down to where Baker Street is at. If you Google Baker Street, there's a Methodist church right there. So he and his family was there, and he goes, "Man, it was safe for a little while." And you probably seen interviews because everyone's is similar. And this is way before I had internet to see what really happened in our town. I had friends from the mainland telling me what was happening after the fact, because I could not see anything. But he told me the story. Right the very next morning, he goes, "Hey, Ron, last night, me and my wife, we were in our van, and we thought we were safe at the Methodist church. And all of a sudden, this big black smoke came upon us. And charcoal the size of bricks were flying like 50 miles an hour, hitting stuff and burning stuff and trees being lit." And he says, immediately the ground got hot. They went into his car, and man, I was praying the car would start, the van would start. And it did. And he had to navigate his way out. And I'm doing my own timeline. I'm going, okay, this is when he was in the fire. And when we was at the beach park, I was looking south. He was in it. Or at that time, I'm going, holy crap. And I'm thinking, wow, man. I still can't wrap my head around what he's telling me, because it's all brand new. We never experienced this before. He says, "Yeah, man." And, all I could do was hug him, man. And we cried. "Is everything all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I turn around, I see another friend who just had a heart surgery. Yeah. And I mean, he's like late 70s now. And it was just him and his wife. They packed up their little Nissan King Cab truck, and she's in the back all cramped up. But they're safe. I go, well, at least you guys are safe. And I see my friend Nate, who's on the other end of the parking lot. He sees me. He goes, "Hey, Ron, what's up, man?" So like, I got to check him out. I used to work with Nate. He and his son, they do the Gracie's jiu-jitsu thing. And I walk up to him, and he goes, "Man, this is really effed up." I go, "Yeah, you're right." He goes, "Man, I lost my house." So yeah, I think we lost ours too. I'm pretty sure. But his story was the same as mine. But he lost his roof early in the morning. He goes, "Hey, Ron, I didn't even think about a freaking fire. I was thinking about fixing our roof," right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Now I got nothing. But he had like a case of water. And despite his tragedy, he already knew he lost his house. He was worried about his dad, so he's worried. And this goes to what you were saying about Lahaina people. He just took the case of water and he was asking people, hey, you're right. And he was handing out water. And he already lost his shit and he's handing out water.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, man, just be safe. And he has to go. And if you look at our map, Mimi, Lahaina, the west side, Highway 30 goes out to like Kapalua on the north end. And people had to get on the other side of the island using this kind of rural cliff, kind of like rural road, really narrow.
Yeah.
And he said he's going to go that way, So that's what everybody did. That's how everybody got to the other side, was to use the north end. You usually go south, Highway 30, you go, that way. But that next morning was just really sad. Like people were just asking me for some reason. You're asking me, is my house all right? Is my house all right? I don't know, man. And I was like, for some reason, like God designated me the guide, the information guy. Say, hey, Ron. And I'm saying, I don't know. But in the back of my mind, because I know some of them live in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say anything bad, like,
of course,
make it worse. I just tried to give them hope, and I hope it's okay. That's all I could muster up. And then, the day was getting into the day right now, so maybe 10 o'clock, and it's getting hot. Times didn't open. I just had my bottle from my friend Nate, and nobody had any food at this time. There was an ABC store up the street, and they were closed. People couldn't eat gas at this time too. There's some people running on empty already.
Yeah.
So I decided to walk south again towards Kaanapali. It was safe. And I walked to this beach park. It took me about half an hour because I got a bad foot. So I get to the beach park and see my friend Johnny and his wife. And I'm like, hey, Johnny, what's up, man? And he goes, man, we freaking lost our house, Ron. I go, yeah, man, I think we lost ours too. And just right when I said that, I heard my sister-in-law's voice.
Oh.
The house where we're supposed to kick back at, and then I came back and they were gone. So my sister-in-law, my brother is in their Honda, and I hear her voice. She goes, hey, Ron, get over here. So I look, I say, hey, David, hey, Calvin. So I was with them for that day and that night. We kind of like just drove around and slept in the car and stuff like everybody else, So it's really traumatic.
Yeah.
People were confused, and that day I was with them. We parked. I guess they have some kind of thing with their kids, like my nieces and nephews. That's their kids. How to meet, because all of a sudden my nephew Chad, which is my brother Calvin's son, he's a fire captain for the Napili station.
Yeah,
and he found us, and he comes by. This is about 11 o'clock, and he looks at us with this blank look, and he goes, hey, Uncle Ron, you guys got nothing, man. It's down. And the thing is, Chad's house is the next street down from where I was at. He took over, the parents' house.
Yeah.
And that was like a really like surreal, because he's a fireman and he just lost his house. And he says, okay, I gotta go. Just like that. And so, oh man.
Yeah.
I gave him a hug. I mean, be safe. And it's just really, really tragic. Mm-hmm. And we were there, and right where we were parking, people were getting hungry. And thank God some of the eateries were open, and the owners talk about being stewards of us, the community. They were like just cooking for people, and that's so cool.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So we got food from, I don't know where she went. And she goes, hey, we got pasta. And I go, man, I'm thankful, just anything. If you got cracker and water, I'll take that. But it was like, I don't know what restaurant she went to, but the chef was like, no, this is for you guys. Like a good hot meal.
Yeah.
So that first day was just really strange, Mimi, because everything was shut down, no power. I couldn't use my phone to call you up and tell you I was all right. So people were still wondering,
yes,
is anybody all right? So we went to this other beach park, and we found out that if you stand at a certain spot on the beach, you could get Wi-Fi or your data would work.
So everybody was standing.
So the biggest problem, Mimi, was communication.
Yeah.
It took like 3 days before my niece and nephew that I lived with to find out that I was okay, you know? And then they're mad at me at the beginning for like walking off.
For leaving. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
You
they
know,
were probably not very happy about you leaving.
I go, sorry, but I do that all the time. But yeah, but not under like when the town's on fire.
Right.
I go, well,
wandering
just
Ron.
up the road. I just wanted to see what was happening. Like an idiot, I went.
Well,
now I know whenever there's a disaster, not to go for a stroll.
Go in the opposite direction of a disaster.
Yeah,
right. That's the kind of the rule. No, I mean, I think it's, first of all, wow. I mean, this is all unbelievably horrific, and I don't think any words can express how, sorry everybody watching this it feels, and nothing we can say can make that better. But like, it's really remarkable to see your positivity, to see your gratitude that, you've been on social and everything. And even just being able to share today, like, it's super inspiring. And I know you went through the story pretty detailed, and I'm rewinding all the way back to about 30 minutes ago when you said that you guys started to pack up to leave and people followed you. And I think that was huge. I think you definitely saved lives at that moment.
Yeah,
I think that moment people didn't even realize, because when you think of a hurricane, because we're in Florida, we get hurricanes, you stay inside. Right. You don't go outside, you stay inside. And so for you to be in a hurricane going, no, we're leaving, people are like, what's happening? But then again, you have the smoke. I mean, it was just two disasters happening at the same time. And thankfully you made the choice to go and other people followed. But I can't imagine what those seconds and moments of decisions, it could have went a different way had you not decided to do that. Right. And so grateful that you made it out. Yeah. Just so grateful you and your family made it out.
Yeah. Thank God my niece and her husband decided that, because like I said, Mimi, I mean, when my nephew said, listen to that, and there's the booms going off, to be honest with you, I wasn't thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, that sounds really lame, but that was my top. I said, okay, I hear booms and I saw the flames with my friend Tom and we got to leave. But at the beginning, you would imagine like around 11 when I was talking about that little stream of smoke with the strong winds. I look back, and again, I'm not trying to play the blame game on anyone. I'm not like that. I used to be like that, but my therapist told me, watch your anger, Ron, right?
Mine too.
Yeah.
So
I had an anger problem, so I had to learn not to go that route, right?
Yes.
Thank God for therapists.
Oh, agree, 100%.
Yeah, right.
100%.
So anyway,
I'm
not
there.
ashamed to say it. But I mean, you would imagine, again, not playing the blame game, but you would imagine the powers that be would have. Okay, let's say they claimed that the sirens wasn't working, whatever, blah blah blah. But old school, right? I mean, it's like, hey, Ron, our stuff's not working. Can you and your friends go up and down the neighborhood and just blast your horns and say,
right,
we got problems,
Yeah.
I think that would have saved some lives, actually.
I think you're 100% right. And I don't think it's the blame game when it is a matter of fact, right? So I don't think I'm not a therapist or anything, but I'm pretty sure that there is more than validity for you to have some anger in this and to feel frustrated that sirens didn't get used, did not go off, or people weren't told, hey, then let's all together be the siren, right? Like you said, if it's a matter of technicality, I don't think you're in the wrong there to be frustrated, angry about it. And I think it's okay to be angry. It's just a matter of how we channel that anger and then what we do with it. So you have more than a right to be angry, I would say. I don't know that I could be as mindful as you have been through this tragedy. It's absolutely horrific. And you're right. The fact that sirens weren't used and, is definitely something I was going to ask you about, because, we're just hearing things from the outside, no idea what's happening there. But the fact that they exist, that you have them, that's what they should have been used for. So it is unfortunate because lives were definitely lost. Because how were you to know? Because when you're in a situation of a hurricane, you stay inside. Even hearing those sounds, like you said, oh, it was silly for me not to want to leave. But how are you supposed to know? You've never been in the situation, how are you supposed to know what to do? That's where we look to our leadership. That's where we look to others that are, disaster ready to help us decide what to do. And it's unfortunate and it's super tragic, but I am grateful you got out okay. And I can't believe you did all that running around with a bad foot. It sounds like you did like quite a few steps that night for 24 hours. It sounds like you got your over 10,000 steps in, Ron.
It's called gout.
Yeah.
Us Filipinos like to eat a lot of pork.
Yeah.
And salty sauces.
Yeah.
So my doctor gets all nuts at me all the time. I gotta jack up your prescriptions again. It's my fault for having. It's my fault for like being unhealthy.
No,
so I gotta train with you, Sifu.
There you go. I mean, I feel like we can work on that part of it, but I think that whole, even just you saying, oh yeah, I decided to go for a walk while there was a huge fire. I mean, the visual smoke you sent me must have meant you could also smell the smoke. And
I don't know what I was thinking because I could smell it.
Right.
And I could hear the wood cracking. Yeah, and walk towards it. Yeah.
Okay. I think when we are in distress and duress, like our bodies and our minds don't necessarily always, do what we are telling it to do. And so your instinct was to go towards and to kind of explore. Grateful you're okay and that you were able to connect with friends. And like you said, Lahaina, everyone knows one another. So it was only a matter of time before someone scooped you up and you were able to connect. And gosh, there were so many remarkable moments through that narrative that you shared, and it's so visual. Thank you for allowing me to kind of take that journey with you. And I wish that hindsight is 2020, right? So we could say, oh, it would have been better if this happened or this happened. But I mean, I love hearing that your community didn't start a riot at the supermarket, that they pulled themselves together and helped one another out, and that the food, the people who are making food, and that just really shows the love that you all have for one another. And it's so moving and inspiring. In terms of mental health, we were touching on this now about like anger management and everything, but I can only imagine because you shared what did sound a lot like a horror film, like a zombie movie where you're trying to talk to people and they're just like completely glazed over and dazed and don't know what to do. And I can only imagine what is happening now post tragedy, where this is PTSD. This is definitely something that is going to live in the minds of so many people, from the sights and the sounds to the smells to just losing their loved ones. What are you doing to kind of keep yourself sane other than being funny? I know that you have a really great sense of humor and that you are uplifting one another, but I mean, what is the community doing to kind of heal?
I think most of us who kind of like old school, because, our dads back in the day was like, they had that saying where, if you're not busy, the devil's going to get into your mind or something like that. I don't know if that's the right thing, but you know what I mean? That analogy. Yeah.
Idle hands are the work of the devil, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think most people are trying to just like help others and think about their next move instead of just being the victim mentality. A lot of locals here are really strong people. Yeah. Lahaina folks are strong.
They are.
And just keeping busy, maybe not thinking so much of our own problems, but in your own way, try to heal people. Like my friend Clint, what he does to keep his sanity is he goes to this place called Esterns. Okay, Esterns. It's in Kahana, a few miles out north of Lahaina, and they have a hub over there. And Chef Kanamu Balinbin's like been cooking. I got to mention his name because he's been on it. And I seen an interview with him just last night on YouTube. And actually, he said the same thing. He lost. And the only way he can deal with it is because he's a chef is to just do what he loves and help people out. So I think to answer your question is to be sane and whatnot and be at peace is just to not think about it.
Yeah.
And if you can't help anyone, prayer is good for your mind anyway, meditation, kind of get the negatives out of your mind. And I've experienced friends of mine who are like stuck right now that they can't move forward, and rightfully so. They never experienced this. You know,
Yeah.
I got some friends that, like I said, the kid that was with me lost his grandma in the blaze. I mean, she's like, I don't know what that would be like. And I don't say to people that lost like that, go, I know how you feel, because that's kind of like, I don't know how they feel.
No.
I can just say, well, if you need to talk, man, I'll listen.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of mixed emotions right now, but hopefully everyone will find their peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those of us who do feel that we don't want to say the wrong thing and that we want to be as helpful and mindful of the community of Lahaina and everybody that's been dealing with loss, whether it's a loved one, whether it's everything they've ever owned, like what can we be doing? I know there's a lot of organizations that are doing work on the ground. There's a lot of places to donate to. There are a lot of we would like to know which ones are legitimate, because I know like I said earlier, the worst of humanity comes out. There were some like false GoFundMe accounts, and then there were people like calling, trying to buy land. And I believe that that's illegal now too, right? Like to have
Yeah.
the unsolicited purchase offers. And it's so disgusting. And that is the type of thing that gets me really angry and frustrated. And to counter all of that negativity, what can those of us who are so far removed that can't understand this level of tragedy and devastation in our lives, like what can we be doing? Is there anything we can be doing to offer support from the outside?
Yeah, I think, just whatever you can that's in your heart, and, to like, I don't want to say exactly where, because, but, you can find out the legitimate ones, of
Okay.
course, send donations that way. Yeah, if you get some kind of like funky guy saying he's so and so and he's gonna give me your money and I'll make sure the guys in Lahaina Maui gets it.
Right.
Maybe not that guy, but you know what I mean? Yeah, you want to stay
Of
away from those
course.
guys. The
Yes.
fast talkers, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, the most the legitimate
Okay.
People that sustain people through these tragedies, I guess, those
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah. So I'll list some of
Yeah.
those here, doing, kind of milling through and trying to get the ones that I know that have been recommended, some of the organizations that are on the ground doing the work. But it's been so devastating to kind of watch. And, I'm just so sorry that
Yeah.
the community is going through that. But I'm so inspired actually speaking with you. I thought I would kind of leave this conversation feeling really depressed today. And while this has been extraordinarily emotional and sad, I also feel so inspired by you, honestly, Ronald, and how you've been able to uplift yourself, but one another, and big family. I know what that's like. My mom is 1 of 9, and so I have a lot of cousins, and we grew up with a big family too. So I know what that's like, and I know that. Well, I know food brings us together, and I know you're supposed to eat like certain foods and maybe not too much pork and too much salt, but keep eating and enjoying that and kind of being together. Is there anything you want to share with our audience that maybe people don't know that's kind of a big misconception that keeps happening? I know that, there's air and water pollution and things that we all, and unstable buildings still, like that we have to kind of be mindful and pay attention to. But also, anything that we should know that's kind of been maybe misrepresented in the media.
Yeah, well, I think that generally the media, you can tell the ones that's into sensationalism, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the I don't know how to say it, like not offbeat, but like not those commercial news guys that I see on YouTube now. They're pretty on it where they say just the facts. They don't try to embellish anything. But you're right. There's a lot of structures that's not safe. But we're getting to that point now where they're gonna, clean everything up. The water, depending where you are in the Lahaina district, I think they're still working on cleaning it up. There's all kinds of chemicals because the pumps wasn't working, so that kind of stuff. But eventually they're going to get there. But also, I want to also say too, Mimi, that there was another brush fire on the other side of the island. Well, two little ones. Well, one bigger one and one smaller one. I think if it wasn't for the Lahaina fires that we were in, there's a place called Kula or Upcountry Maui that had their own blazes, and I think it took down several homes and displaced people. And I'm not really sure like if there's any casualties, but I hope not, because I have a lot of friends that live up there. So don't forget those people up in Upcountry Maui that lost too, because they're going through in a smaller fashion, their own grief as well. I mean, losing a house, it's tragedy too, people's livelihood. So, keep them in your thoughts too. My whole thing, Mimi, right now is like, I just pray and think about anyone in this world that's going through any bad time, not just us.
Yeah.
But Maui, we need your money. I mean, we need your business. I'm just trying but we need your business, South Maui is open for business. There's a lot of resorts there, golf courses. The ocean's clean down there, so vacation, vacay on Maui,
Yeah.
Just the west side, the Lahaina side's kind of, you've seen it on the news. There's nothing there. It's devastating.
Yeah.
But the rest of Maui is open, and we welcome you to come back and keep my brothers and sisters on the other side working, because one of my friends, her hours got cut, and she will be short on her mortgage payment, her and her husband. So,
right.
That's another issue. So what happens on Maui, what happened in Lahaina kind of affects everyone in the industry.
Of course.
And
and like for you, just that whole, the next phase is rebuilding. It's just kind of, you have to wait and see, like, what does that timeline look like for all of you and your families and that community? What have they told you?
No, I didn't get any definitive word. And even when they give you that so-called definitive word, it takes longer.
Right.
And they're thinking about 5 years plus to just rebuild Lahaina.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know what it's going to look like, because all the historical artifacts and buildings like just raised. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows? Money always talks, right? When it comes to, especially a resort area like Maui.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you hit it on the head. All these speculators are in, want to buy up everything. And on the flip side of that, well, not the flip side, but I got friends, and they got this thing called Maui Strong Stay Together. But I got friends who are in their 60s now, and they just paid off their homes, and they just wanted to kind of like get ready to retire. One of my friends, Eddie, he was flirting with me, maybe sell, man, and just move somewhere else and enjoy the rest of his life. And for people like that, you can't blame them. I mean, you really can't. I mean, someone that's younger, maybe in the 30s, they're just starting their family, they want to keep their roots here. But someone that's in their 60s that pay their dues, I understand if, money comes his way and then some, it's like, bye, I'm gone. And that's just reality,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think both things can be true, right? Like, it can be true that you have people coming in trying to take advantage, but it also can be true, like, for someone who's suffered such a great loss, in order to move on, they have to do what's best for themselves and their family. Both things can be true. I think nuance is key here, that nobody knows what anyone there is going through except for yourselves. And so nobody can make judgment upon decisions that are made that's in the best interest for you and your loved ones. So I just want to thank you again for the conversation. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners? And like I said, I will link here all different ways that you can donate to some of the causes that will go directly to help the rebuilding and some of the community foundation projects that are happening there, the Maui Strong and everything. But thank you so much for sharing. I will be thinking about this conversation for quite a long time. You're a very vivid storyteller, by the way. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that, but I was just like, I should have had popcorn. I was just captivated. Oh my God, what's happening? What's going to happen next? But unfortunately, what you were telling me wasn't a movie. It wasn't a horror movie. It was real life. And yeah, I'm completely, have a loss for words. So, but yes, thank you so much.
Hey, Mimi, thank you.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to The Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.